How's it going, everybody? It's Ben from the Ben and Bev channel. Today we're going to be talking about
Nightbooks.
Our first entry in the spooky season segment we're going to be doing leading up until this Halloween.
Nightbooks is a 2021 Netflix original children's horror film starring Krysten Ritter as a witch and an interesting premise of a little boy after losing his best friend due to his obsession with horror movies and scary stories, decides he's going to burn the lot and begins the trek to the furnace in his apartment building in New York City. He is then enticed into a room by a witch with a piece of pumpkin pie and The Lost Boys on television, who ends up trapping him in a traveling apartment building that goes to various locations to seek out different children so the witch can use them for various purposes, though ultimately leading to most of their demise or permanent entrapment inside of these interesting doll figures that are on the cabinet. While the film does have a lot of interesting plot twists, they are pretty obvious from the get-go, as me and Beverly were both actually figuring the movie out as it was going on long before the reveal was actually made.
Being as this is a kid's movie, they have to go and point that out obviously with lines that make it a very direct and obvious connection, even though you can figure it out by the context clues alone and it wasn't really necessary. But that aside, the movie is actually really well made.
And despite being a kid's movie, it really pushes that PG boundary and actually is really terrifying and does a really great job of building suspense and building the dynamic of these characters. The reluctant hero, our lead Alex, and how he doesn't really want to write scary stories anymore, even though this witch is going to kill him or eat him, or he doesn't really know what, if he doesn't have a scary story to read to her every night of the week. Thankfully, he has someone backup, but of course,
The thing is, this is a movie, there needs to be some type of plot. You assume he's going to run out of stories at some point or something might happen to those.
there's also another kid who's actually trapped in the house with him, who's really reluctant to build any type of relationship with anyone, as she fears more for her own safety based off of the past history and what she's seen before living in this house for so long. Naturally, they begin to form a bond as they are the only two kids in this house with this
Crazed, very enigmatic, and very fashionable witch.
Just wanted to give quick praise to Krysten Ritter. Her role as Jessica Jones on those Netflix shows I really enjoyed.
I have not seen season 3 yet, calm down.
She's an actress I've really grown to like in whatever I've seen. She brings essential energy to this movie with this witch character, making her somewhere between overly fashionable pop star and then Lady Gaga's character in American Horror Story Season 5. Her outfits are all fabulous, and the way she carries herself is like a mean girl of sorts.
Very clicky. Nails, fashion boots, Cruella sense of style.
What more do you need?
The apartment itself is also a really interesting aspect of the story, as it is a lot larger on the inside, kind of having that House of Leaves effect.
Everything's much larger on the inside and can kind of animate a much larger space, even though to outside viewers it's just a normal apartment in a various part of the world that it's parked in.
The library in particular reaches all the way up to the ceiling and has these crazy fractal spiral staircases just spinning all the way up. The CGI is impeccable for that scene. I think they did a really good job of making it look intricate because they have characters running up and down these staircases at points, and as someone who's afraid of heights, every time they were looking down over that staircase I got that sense of dread that I get in real life.
Great job there. Something I didn't really need, but you added some terror to me that's a little more real life than an average horror movie.
And though this is a pretty horrifying movie in general, especially one that's PG and for kids, they do a good job of still including a bit of gore into this movie by the way of candy. I'm not trying to dive too far into that,
Because that is a huge spoiler for the film.
just the way they use the candy makes it really disgusting and look like insides getting ripped out or body parts getting hacked off. Similar to how in the movie Jungle Cruise, the conquistadors' ghosts were made out of either reptiles or honey in a way that every time they got a limb cut off, it was really disgusting, but it wouldn't be rated R because it's not blood and gore. Really good way to cheat the system. And the movie definitely has a very central and kids movie theme of being yourself despite all the odds, even though you may not have all the friends in life. That little thing that makes you you is something you should never give up. We can all find a little bit of ourselves in these characters, and the movie does a really good job of integrating it into that horror setting. And also, it's always produced by Ghost House Pictures or Productions. We're going blank on the actual formal title. Recently, haven't really seen that many movies by them. They did a lot of the better horror movies in the early 2000s, and up until, I believe it was Don't Breathe 2, I hadn't seen their name on anything recently, and it was really cool to see them produce a movie like this, especially for Netflix. I'm hoping there's more partnership in the future, and this movie does lead way for a sequel. Definitely something I'm excited for going forward, as this has honestly been a really enjoyable kids movie, and they did a great job with the premise. Especially since it's something completely original and not a remake or anything, I think it does a great job of standing on its own, really sticking to its story, and the unexpected twist in the last half is absolutely insane, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you get to it. Some of it's pretty obvious. There are individual details of it that completely caught me off guard.
Spooky season's off to a great start.
My rating for Netflix's Nightbooks is an 8.6 out of 10. I thought it did a great job of incorporating a really serious horror element, not jumping away from the suspense and terror of that aspect, effectively broke the PG boundary, while also maintaining kids' movie sense as well as plot to the film and making it an overall enjoyable watch, I think, for everyone.
I will say, if you're susceptible to not liking scary movies, I don't think this would be a good one for you. Younger kids definitely shouldn't see this one. That's why it's not rated G.
Tune in next week, or maybe this week, for another episode of Spooky Season. Well, some more World Snack reviews coming your way. What do you guys think of Nightbooks? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you guys next time. Ben and Bev, out.